Hello, everyone. Hammaneggs here. Um, this is Rolling Line. People have been recording VR videos of it around on YouTube, and well, I've actually been playing it rather intensely and kind of seriously. So I'm gonna load up a game. You have a few tutorial levels, and this is the one that I've been working on that is not a tutorial level. It doesn't seem like very many people have really gotten into the depth of this game so much. So there's these 3 rooms that you can set railroads around, and as things load in, this is some of the stuff that you can make just on your own. The track creator is actually quite good. A lot of people don't really know what they're doing with it yet, but I shall show. So these are the types of layouts that you can come up with just kind of, on your own. You can't do anything like, here's a little secret, Kayacore Coast and all that, the main level, which is over in this room. You can't do that level of stuff yet, but it's on its way. So I think the best way to demonstrate the track building is just to build some track and kind of show roughly how the pieces fit together. So a lot of the time when you have double track lines, you'll want to do something like this, which happens to share the same length as these long pieces. Very useful. Then you can also grab this piece and the piece next to it. The curve on here and the curve on here are the same curve. Plus or minus maybe a very negligible difference. Which means what I can do is actually do something like this. As you can see, the curve fits very nicely in because it is essentially, if not the exact same as the one on the switches, on the gentle switches. Then let me do another set of switches just to show another feature of how the track goes together in this. So I'm just going to make a 4 wide section right here, and these slopes are meant to fit together. Again, you get minor discrepancies because the pieces aren't perfectly tuned in this, I would say, but they're definitely usable. So we can repeat this pattern that we had here. Actually, let's copy this over a few times. Sometimes the selecting is a little bit finicky, but I haven't had too much in the way of problems with it. So we can do something like just having to mess with the track builder a little bit. Something like this. I don't know why it's so finicky on this table, it's not on the other one. And grab that. As you can see, these track pieces right here fit together with this spacing using these switches. Now, I do not believe these fit quite the same way, unfortunately. Yeah, I think these get spaced a little bit wider apart. So, ideally these would be for large sidings. So, now let me show the properties of these switches. So I just realized I could have cloned to that. Oops. This is a little bit harder to get right in terms of putting these together. You need to use the shorter pieces, and it's some strange combination. I believe it's 2... Okay, so it's one of the longer of these pieces and then 2 of the short ones. It is a little bit finicky, and there might still be a small offset, but the chains will snap between the pieces just fine, so it doesn't make too big a difference. Again, this game's very early on in development, so be aware of that. And so I'll just repeat this design over here. And that is kind of one criticism that a lot of people have about this. It's the way the pieces go together. But, so this innermost one right here, as far as I can tell, is the same curve as this piece. If it's not, then it's fairly close. And then there's these curves, which I haven't fully figured out myself, actually. Like, I think these are just so you can do some small offsets if pieces aren't quite lining up along that way. But if I take, say, this innermost one, and kind of just mess around with these. Actually, this probably wants to be the innermost one, if they go together at all. Yeah, these don't do the same thing as these sets down here. But you can use them to make kind of nice, gently curving rails if you have a ton of space that you just need to fill with, you know, through a mountain, hillside, or something. There are these kind of trestle pieces, which you can't really use too much yet because there isn't significant elevation, so they don't fill a whole lot of purpose at the moment. And then this piece. This piece is very important if you want things to look nice. So there's this track switch here. I click, it switches sides. I click again, it switches back over. That is the importance of this little piece. These three are just style options. So you have the full track, the missing track, and somewhere in between for kind of a Western theme. So like that. Now you can just add some concrete pieces and you have a dockland type railway. You can kind of see that in the harbor section over there. So we do a few of these. Now you see there's some track links, or not links, but what's the word? Sleepers or ties missing. You click this on these, it restores them all to the full. So that's the basics of track laying. There is one more important thing though. There's paints. These can also affect the track. So you want blue? Okay, why not? Put blue there. You want a dark gray? This one, which is, I believe, the second from the end. Let me just check to make sure. So that one is the default color right here. You can make them all sorts of colors. You can do kind of a reddish western one, although I don't know why you would want the gravel to be that color. And yeah, that's kind of the basics of what you can do with track laying. So I hope that's useful. In general, if you have track that doesn't seem to line up, just use these pieces. They'll help in different situations, which I can quickly demonstrate on this layout that I have built. I just have to find where a good section is. I need to turn on edits the track. So, for example, I have this section. I believe these are the medium length of the other track sets. Let me check. Yes, they are. So, you can also go along and... Okay, so these two don't line up exactly. In fact, they overlap. But the train usually snaps onto each other. If they don't, you can, well, they will derail, so you'll want to use maybe a few sections of shorter ones to combine. And there might be a small gap, but the trains will jump them, kind of like this one right here. They can also be a little bit larger, like maybe 3 or 4 ties in width. So, you know, fairly large gaps just because Flex Track is not available in this game as of yet. But yeah, that's the basics of track lane. I'll bring over this guide just for you to take a quick look at again. So, this is the normal double track spacing, as seen here. These are the curves that go with these switches, and you use these smaller segments to match lengths. And you can flip the switches, and you can paint the tracks. So there you go, there's basic track lane in Rolling Line, as of a fairly early version of the game. I've been Hammaneggs, signing off.